Is your team not performing well? Is morale low and turnover high? Are you falling further behind the competition? I'm here to help. I'm your host, Shani, and this is the LeaderShift Show, where business strategy and culture finally meet, and we make the long-awaited shift from rhetoric to results. I promise I'm not your typical boring leadership consultant, and I will help you get your shift together. Let's do this. Hey, LeaderShifters. I have a confession to make. I'm not 29. I know most of you knew that, but I've been treating my body like I expect it to still be 29, and I've had some real tough conversations with myself over the past week or so that I wanted to actually turn into an episode of the LeaderShift Show. So this is not the typical episode. I'm not sitting with some pretty background, no hair, no makeup, au natural, just to sort of pour my soul out to you about what's been happening over the last week or so and the realizations that I've had about me exercising and how it's a change management initiative that I handle really poorly. So let me get right into it. The message of the podcast is it's important to take care of ourselves. And I know that that's not new information, but a lot of us know to do that, and yet we don't do it. We don't prioritize ourselves, and this is a huge mistake. So here's the story. I haven't worked out, literally, haven't gone to the gym or yoga or done anything other than run some errands that required me to walk somewhat in probably 5 or 6 months. And that is pretty uncharacteristic of me. Even in times when I'm not exercising as much as I want, I'm still doing something, whether it's a yoga class every week or just doing something. Well, it's ground to a halt over the last 6 months. And for those of you who can relate, I'm sure you've done the same thing. You start to beat yourself up about being out of shape and, the flabby arms and the fact that you're winded when you walk up a flight of stairs, and the inner critic comes out loud and it comes out hard. Well, those are just the superficial things that you start noticing about yourself and your physical appearance. You feel bloated and your clothes are too tight, or my clothes have been too tight. But I realize it goes so much further than that. My energy level is lower. I'm not sleeping nearly as well as I could be. My focus sucks, starting at a much earlier time in the afternoon. And so the bottom line is, the reason this is an episode of the LeaderShift Show is because my inattentiveness to my own well-being has had an impact on my business, a negative impact on my business. I haven't been as productive. I haven't been doing the videos that you guys say you love so much, or doing Facebook Live or things like that. I'm not being as productive. I'm not being as creative. And that's when the rubber hits the road, when I realized that not only do I feel like shit, but this is taking a toll on my business, and it has to stop. I have too much to do to sacrifice the focus that is being stolen from me by myself. Okay, so I finally decided enough's enough. I'm going to do something. So, and then when I make a decision, I spring into action, and I'm like, okay, what do I know is effective for me for exercising? And I thought, well, I love working out at a gym in a class that has energy with an instructor who can push me and motivate me and work hard, because I also know I don't really like to think that much when I'm exercising. So having an instructor in front of the class has worked for me in the past. So I'm like, okay, great. What can I do? What's the exercise that's most motivating to me, since I haven't been to the gym in 5 or 6 months? What do I know? What class do I know I'm going to get my ass to? Zumba. Love Zumba. Love the dancing. Love the Latin music. I'm like, all right, that's it. So I start to Google Zumba classes near me, find a couple of studios, end up finding a deal on unlimited Zumba classes for new students for a week. And I'm like, that's great. And I start to put it in my calendar. All right, I'm going to go to Zumba tonight and tomorrow morning. And I plan out 7 days worth of Zumba to maximize the unlimited week of Zumba. And I proceed to go to Zumba class this past Friday night after work. So I show up at Zumba, and the instructor is, 25 years old, give or take, and super peppy and supermodel thin, and dances like a freaking rock cat, like her leg up to her fucking head, and making moves like I have never seen. And I'm trying to keep up, and I'm like, it's okay. You know how you've done Zumba before. You'll catch on to the moves. Like, don't try to compete with her. Just so I'm trying to talk myself off the ledge of feeling really inadequate in the Zumba class. And it works a little bit in class. I finished out the class. I got a decent sweat going, but I definitely didn't feel good about myself. And as I went home and went to sleep and woke up the next morning, I was really depressed. First of all, because I couldn't keep up and was out of shape. And second of all, I woke up and my fucking back hurt. I'm like, great. So here I am trying to do the right thing, get myself remotivated to work out. I go to Zumba class, and what's the first thing I do? I reignite an injury, and I screw myself. I'm like, great, way to go, Shady, So I start beating myself up about a million other things, in addition to the fact that I'm feeling flabby and out of shape and bloated and, all of the other shit that has been going on in my self-flagellating narrative. So I was like, okay, I can't let this happen. Like, this, I know how to recover from this. So I thought, how do I get unstuck? And a piece of advice that a woman on my podcast just a couple of weeks ago gave me popped into my mind. Gloria Mayfield Banks, she's a dynamo. If you haven't listened to this episode of the LeaderShift Show, go back to iTunes and listen to it. What she said was, when you don't have what you want, ask yourself 3 questions. Am I crazy? Am I lazy? Or am I stuck? Crazy, lazy, or stuck? I was like, that's worth pondering about this topic. Am I crazy? Hell yeah, I'm crazy. Ignoring my own well-being, prioritizing everything above myself. And yeah, I'm pretty crazy to expect my late 40s body to go right into a Zumba class after being inactive for 5 or 6 months and be able to bounce right in and do all the moves and not have my back hurt the next day. Am I lazy? Well, a little bit. It's winter. It's chilly outside. I don't necessarily want to have to walk really far to get to a class, and that's certainly a criteria that holds me back, because there's a lot of other things that I could be doing that require me to get on the subway or take an Uber or drive, and I just didn't want to deal. And am I lazy in other ways? Well, if I had to be honest with myself, yeah. Again, because I haven't exercised, I sort of get lazy, like, what's the point? Like, you know what, I have 15 minutes, I'm gonna just go on social media. And so I've been going for easy and to kind of turn my brain off a little bit and going for social media, because that was easier, i.e. lazier. Was I stuck? Hell yeah, I was stuck. Stuck on this old vision of myself, this old blueprint of what my body should and shouldn't be able to do now that I'm no longer 29. Stuck in this paradigm that I need an instructor who's going to push the shit out of me instead of just doing what I can do. And stuck in an old paradigm that I have to sweat balls for exercise to be worth it. Like, if it's not a 1 hour over the top class with cardio and weights and all sorts of stuff, that it's not worth doing. Well, those were not helpful. None of those old paradigms were helpful. And that's where I was getting stuck, in those old beliefs about myself and those old sort of notions about what exercise looks like. So I was like, okay, again, I know better than this. and I'm going to get myself unstuck. So let me just check my notes. I made some notes for this podcast because I was like, I don't want to forget anything. Okay. This is what I wanted to say. This is when it hit me. Like, what the hell is wrong with me? I have just tried to change something, and I just sort of like leapt right in. I went fire, aim, ready, as opposed to ready, aim, fire, in the thoughtful, communicative, like skill building way that I would advise any organization to manage through a change. So even though it was a personal change to get back on the exercise bandwagon and not an organizational cultural change, same thing. And what I did, just sort of like jumping right back into it without any training, without communicating with my body, without coming up with a thoughtful plan, was sort of like if a company decided to not listen to consumers' up-to-date preferences and continue to deliver an out-of-date product. Or like the CEO of pretty much any company on the planet not recognizing that Amazon is a formidable competitor to just about anything, right? Not living in reality. And that's what I was doing. And I'm like, holy shit, I am not taking my own advice here when it comes to my own personal health and well-being. And again, super important because we have to take care of ourselves first. For those of you who have read my book, The Better Boss Blueprint, you know the first chapter of my book is get your own shit together first. And that doesn't just mean get your shit together up here. It means we got to have it all together. If our own health and well-being isn't well taken care of, if we're not safeguarding that, we don't have the ability to take care of other people or execute as well as we could possibly be doing. So super important to take care of ourselves. And I'm hoping that in listening to me discuss this pretty embarrassing saga, I mean, I don't enjoy like showing the flab on my arms to people or admitting that I'm out of shape when I used to be like this super athletic yogi, rock climber, mountain biker, whatever. It's just like fallen off. Anyway, my point is I'm hoping that me sharing this gets people to ask themselves their own questions about where they may not be taking care of themselves. And maybe it's not physical, maybe it's something related to your job. And I'll talk about that a little bit later and try and apply these same questions to more professional settings. So what new paradigms have I adopted just in the past week that have helped me get back on the wagon? And again, I'm sitting on a yoga mat in my living room right now, not in my typical podcast chair. And I'm sitting on a pillow, and the intention was I was going to meditate. I've even got my blankie, and then I was going to do a little bit of yoga. So first of all, new paradigm. It's okay to go at my pace at this point in my life. It's different now than it was then. And importantly, because the other reality I failed to recognize in going straight back to a high-intensity Zumba class was I had neck surgery a couple of years ago. I've still got a shoulder injury and some hip shit going on that is causing some destabilization. So I need to like dial it back, and I need to stabilize my back and my hips before I can do more. So new goal isn't to just like get back out there and pump the heart and all that. The new goal is to restabilize my core and build off of there. Because no exercise is bad, or some exercise is better than no exercise, right? And this is what I have been sort of pounding into my head is, why does it have to be an hour plus of exercise or no exercise? What about the 10 or 15 minutes of exercise? What about once I'm stabilized, like a high intensity training for 15 or 20 minutes? That's really beneficial, and that should be my new goal. Not do I have an hour and a half every day to go exercise. So that's a shift I made in my mindset. And that I can exercise on my own. I don't have to be at a gym full of people and with an instructor because here's the new reality. The instructors make me feel like shit sometimes, right? Like what happened at Zumba on Friday night. No longer are the instructors making me feel motivated. To the extent they're making me feel like shit, no bueno. So I'm going to go with, I know what my limits are. I only have to compete with my own best self, and I can actually exercise at home for a shorter period of time. I mean, shit, look at, I have these resistance bands. I've got this thing. I've got these little thingies that you put on the floor and you can do abdominal exercises with. I've got the foam roller. I've got at my disposal things that I can use to do body weight exercise and resistance exercise. I can do push-ups against the kitchen counter until I'm strong enough to do push-ups on the floor, right? I have everything I need to take care of myself. I just have been choosing not to utilize it. So I have, over the past few days, started prioritizing myself, and it feels so good. And it feels good to have slightly sore muscles that feel healthy sore, not I drove myself too hard and I can't walk sore. Okay, so here are the questions that I asked myself. I'm going to list them for you LeaderShifters and encourage you to ask anywhere you're stuck. It doesn't have to be your health or your fitness or your well-being or your diet or anything personal. It could be someplace you're stuck at work. It could be a relationship you're stuck on. It could be a problem or a project you're stuck on. It's anywhere that you find you're not making as much progress as you want. It's sort of like, for those of you who know Lean or Six Sigma, they have a tool called the 5 Whys that help you get at root cause. You can really figure out what's going on here that's truly causing the problem instead of let's just put a Band-Aid on the problem. Well, instead of the 5 Whys, these are going to be the 5 Whats. So I'm going to articulate the questions first, and then we'll go through how I use them, and then I'll endeavor to apply them to kind of a professional work-related scenario. Okay, so first question. What's a situation I'm stuck on or not taking responsibility for? Am I crazy, lazy, or stuck on this? Question 2. What is the real objective current reality? Question 3. What's the new vision based on that reality, not the old reality, not the 29-year-old reality? What's my plan to work towards the new vision? And what beliefs do I need to shift in order to successfully execute on this vision? These are questions we ask ourselves every day when we're doing projects or managing change professionally. And I'm encouraging, or at least myself, if not many of you LeaderShifters, to apply these same kind of common sense questions to whatever's going on for you. Okay, so let's take those questions one at a time and quickly nail what it was for me in the exercise thing, because maybe that's your deal too. And if it is, I hope this really helps you decide to get your ass back in gear, because we have to take care of our health. All right, so what's the goal I'm not achieving, or this situation I'm not taking responsibility for? Well, clearly that I wasn't exercising and making excuses and claiming I just didn't have time for it. And was I crazy, lazy, or stuck? As I've already gone through in painfully vulnerable detail, I was all 3. So what is the real what was the real objective current reality? I ain't 29. That was the confession I made. And my body doesn't do what it used to do. I don't need to go to the gym anymore in order to call it a workout. There are other ways to do it. So what was my new vision? Based on that reality that I'm not 29 anymore and can't do all this crazy shit? The new vision was that I start to stabilize and strengthen my core. And from there, I can build and do cardio and maybe get back to doing the kind of Zumba and other activities I was doing before, but I certainly can't rush in. So the vision is no longer going to be back where I used to be. It's strengthen and stabilize. New vision that serves me better and is grounded in current reality. Question 4, what was my plan? Well, you kind of saw it. I'm going to start to do some exercise on my yoga mat right at home. I'll put some tunes on. I'll use all these great tools that I have here right in the comfort of my own home, so I don't even have to get on the subway or get in a car to go do it. And what beliefs do I need to shift? That I need the high-powered instructor and that a great workout means it's an hour or more. All right, so you can see how it applies there. So let's think about some situations where it could apply in the workplace. How about your company has recently been acquired and absorbed by a bigger company, maybe a bigger Fortune 500 company or something. Okay, well, if maybe you're not taking responsibility for operating within the new regime, as it were. Are you crazy, lazy, or stuck? Okay, so what's the real current objective reality? There's a new name on the door. There's a new logo on your business card. You're reporting to new managers. You have different goals and expectations, and you can either choose to work with them or not. But that's the new objective reality. No matter how much you like the old management team and how much you liked the old company, you're in a new place now. So what's a new vision based on that reality? Maybe the new vision is as simple as, I want to kick ass and take names here with the new entity, with the new combined entity. And what's the plan to work towards that vision? Well, maybe I need to up-level some skills that are important in the new environment. Maybe I need to establish some relationships with people from the acquiring company that can help get me steeped in the culture and the history and the best practices and some of the stories so that I feel more at home in the new organization. Those are steps that you can actually take to execute on the new vision. Well, what beliefs do I need to shift? That the old way is the best way. That, instead of thinking the new organization is too challenging, maybe the new belief is, wow, a bigger combined organization means there's more opportunity for me, for my career. Maybe there's better ways to serve my customers now. Those would be some mindset shifts or some belief shifts that I might want to make in that situation. Let's take another one. So let's pretend that, okay, let's not even pretend. I deal with this all the time. Clients who are promoted from middle manager to senior management. And in the place where maybe you're not taking responsibility is you're still having a hard time letting go of some of the old role. And you know that's not going to serve you. Okay, so are you crazy, lazy, or stuck? Figure it out. What's the real objective reality? The real objective reality is you have new expectations now. You have new responsibilities, and if you don't let go of some of the old responsibilities, you're going to fall on your face with some of the new responsibilities. The reality is what got you here won't get you there, as the book says. That's the reality. Okay, third question. What's the new vision based on that reality? Well, the new vision is I want to succeed in the new role, right? The new vision is to go from this role to an even higher role, okay? Pretty standard vision when you're moving up the chain of command. What's the plan to work towards that new vision? Maybe you need to delegate and coach people more. Maybe you need to get some additional training to fill in some deficiencies. Maybe you just need to rejigger your calendar and block out some of your best, most focused time, which is typically in the morning, for the hardest, least familiar tasks with the new role. Because maybe you were defaulting to the old role because it was easy and familiar. Okay, so let's take those unfamiliar, more complex things that are now part of your responsibility and shift them into the time of day where you're most mentally equipped to handle it. Maybe those are some action steps you can take towards achieving the new vision. And as far as the fifth question, what beliefs do you need to shift to successfully execute? The belief from, well, I was really good at that, and that's what people know me for, to a belief that, you know what, in order for me to truly drive the results of my new team, I have to make sure that my people know how to fish, because leveraging other people is the highest and best use of my time now in the new role. I mean, I'm just making these things up off the top of my head, but I'm sure you can relate to one or both of those examples and apply it to whatever the situation is in your case. Okay, so bottom line is, while we went through all of this, is I just want to continue to reiterate how important it is to take care of ourselves. Let's not lose sight that we are as big of a priority as our direct reports, as our customers, as our vendors, as our to-do list, and we're going to be less effective at all of those things if we're not taking care of ourselves. And when we are getting ourselves unstuck, we need to be as objective and kind to ourselves as we would be to other people, or if we were managing change within the organization, because somehow when it comes to ourselves, we get crazy, lazy, and stuck. And I'm encouraging you, don't let it go 5 or 6 months like it did for me on this exercise thing, right? Let's knock ourselves in the head with a foam roller if we have to, and get past the crazy, lazy, stuck place that we might be in relative to whatever it is for you at this moment in time. There's an author named L.R. Nost who said, taking care of yourself doesn't mean me first, it means me too, right? So it's all part of success is taking care of ourselves. Okay, so I think you know the questions to ask now. We ran through them 3 times, and the most important one coming from Gloria Mayfield Banks. I'm going to give her props again because I freaking love this question. When something's not right, when you don't have what you want, etc., am I crazy, lazy, or stuck? And then ask yourself those 5 questions that I articulated during the podcast today. Okay, so I think it's about time for me to get to my meditation and get to my yoga practice and get back to taking care of myself, which, as I said, for the last few days has felt really, really good. Thank you for joining me on this episode of the Leadership Show. Of course, I'll be back next week, probably sitting in the more formal chair with my hair and makeup done next time. In the meantime, if you have any questions or ideas or suggestions, hit us up at hello@theleadershiftproject.com or on any of our social media. In the meantime, have a great week, and I look forward to catching you next week. Mwah.